Hi everyone, it's another lovely edition, and this is the Tuesday's edition of Shagalinku TV. Let me start by saying thanks to everyone who joined us, and thanks to everyone who is constantly on the program, making sure that you drop your contributions, like the page, and do all that. We really must sincerely appreciate all of you. Thanks so much for finding time in spite of everything, to always be here for us whenever we come to do the program. Well, this is the second edition of the show in the new year. We started off the first edition for this year on Saturday when we brought our guest to talk about a whole lot of things here. And, it was really a fine one. Our guest from Nepal, she was here to talk about world peace, how the world can stop pollution, and then how we can get clean water for the society and citizens and all that. So today we decided to do something, that it's synonymous with New Year. Whether Christian, whether Muslim, all faiths, people of all faiths sometimes are also tempted to want to do what they call New Year resolutions. So every first of January, or at least every first week of January, you find people to say on their social media or even during friends and family gatherings that, you know what, my resolution for this year is to be a better person. I don't want to drink, I don't want to smoke, I don't want to womanize, blah blah blah. Or some people will say, for the ladies, they were like, I buy a lot of impulsive buyings and shoppings. So my New Year resolution for this year is that I'm not going to be spending so much money this year and all that. But sadly, a few days or weeks, people are going back to those things they said they weren't going to be doing. And that's why we just decided to do this as a topic, knowing that it might sound funny, but then a whole lot of times people also take it very seriously. And then when they default, they begin to find themselves maybe unworthy. They begin to let it affect their mental health and all that. So we're looking at today, we're asking the question again: New Year resolutions, why do people find it very difficult to keep it or fulfill it to the end of the year? And we're streaming on three destinations today. So, first on our YouTube page, that's Shagalinku TV. Second, on our Facebook page live, that's Shagalinku TV as well. And thirdly, on my personal page, Ambassador Emmanuel Gabari. So, across the destinations, any of them that you want to join us in, just hook up and then drop your messages, your opinions, or your comments on the comment section, and we'll be reading them. I've got my guest here all the way from the United States of America. His name is Mr. Taiwo Lawrence. He's a songwriter, a music producer, a human rights activist, a whole lot more that we'll be unraveling as the program progresses. My name is Ambassador Emmanuel Gabari, and this is welcoming you to the second edition of the program for 2021. And yes, if this is your first time to join us, Happy New Year once again, and we wish us all, yeah, not just you, we wish us all a wonderful and prosperous 2021. As the program progresses, I'll be bringing Favor Bassi all the way from Abuja, Nigeria, to also talk with our guest, ask him a few questions, and we'll take it up from there. But for now, let me bring in my guest and let's get to know him better. So, should I say good morning or good afternoon? Because it is afternoon here,
Morning.
Mr. Taiwo.
It's morning.
I am just lost, because I know it's morning in the US, but it's a scorching sunny afternoon in Nigeria.
Oh
So how are you doing?
wow. It's early morning. It's just 8:03 now.
Yeah, and sorry for waking you up.
Oh no, not a
Sorry
problem. Not a
for
problem at all. Not
okay.
a
So
problem.
you're welcome to
Glad to
tell
be here.
you're welcome. You're welcome. I'd like you to tell us a little more about who Mr. Taiwo Lawrence is, and then we'll go on to talk about New Year resolutions. And when you tell us a little bit more about yourself, I'd like you to also tell us about your New Year resolution. That is, if you keep one.
Okay. I'm not really one for talking about myself, but I'll try my best to say what I can. I like to produce music. I love people. I've worked with some of It's funny. I classify working with people as working with people. So some people you're aware of and they're very successful at what they do, and some are not. But to me, I see everyone as equal, and I'm not trying to sound cliche or sound special, But I've worked with. Let's just put it this way: I've worked with. I've done stuff with uh, Whitney Houston. I've done stuff with uh, GDO. You don't know GDO, but you know Whitney Houston. So a wide range of people that I've written and produced for. Even my brother and I have an identical twin brother. We've written and produced for a bunch of. We've done movies, we've done ads, we've done. We try to keep busy, but that's on the professional end. Now, as a human, I just love to see people do well. So wherever I think I can give an input of some sort, I do my best to do that. I'm very shy when it comes to accomplishments. I don't know if you're getting that drift, because it almost sounds like you're bragging, But my work is my work. That's work. So I feel sometimes I even forget some of the people I've worked with. It's other people that say, "Did you come imagine you did the project?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's true." You know. So yeah. But I'm a humble servant of God. Now, as per new was that good enough? Is that good enough?
Yes, it is. It is.
Okay.
Thank
Now,
you.
as per the New Year resolution thing, I've stopped giving myself or putting myself under that kind of pressure, because to me, I think it becomes pressure unless there are things that you're almost at the verge of completion, and you know that, okay, you know what, it's my procrastination that has prevented me from completing this task. And then that way you can put that kind of pressure on yourself and say, you know what, this year I'm going to accomplish blase blase blase, or I'm going to finish blase blase. Otherwise it's a farce. You just find yourself under pressure. I used to list all the things that I wanted to accomplish in the new year. Sometimes I'll even wait towards the end of the year to start my list, and ignore those things. You know what I mean? Like, it's December. I know that I can do this thing. Let me add it to next year's stuff. But I think that one of the things that can help all of us is if we make our resolutions daily. You know, if you make your resolutions daily, you're constantly reminded of the things that you're trying to accomplish. Like, okay, you know what, tomorrow I have to blah 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 blah. Tomorrow I have to blah 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 blah. And that way you have them in segments, on a daily basis. So once you've accomplished one, you tick it off. Now sometimes it's very good to write. You write down what you're trying to accomplish, and that would help you focus. But I think the whole yearly thing, because if you fall short, then what happens? If you don't make it, what happens? I'm asking you now.
Honestly, it's terrible, because like I said when I started off,
Mm,
when people don't make it to that list, they become depressed and sometimes let it affect their mental health.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
But then it becomes like a religion. So you find people who you find yourself surrounded by a lot of people who are making New Year resolutions, and you become like the odd person amongst them. I
mm,
remember when I still do used to do my radio shows. We have this ritual in the studio where every 31st of December
mm.
we'll just be on air from like 6:30 p.m. of 31st, and then just go on till first until like 4 a.m. the next day. So by 12,
Wow.
12, 12, 12, 12 midnight, that's like the January 1st, we
Mm-hmm.
open up the phone lines and then everyone calls in into the station to make their greetings and their requests. And sometimes when my colleagues ask them, what's your New Year resolutions? When they say theirs, they come back and say, Ambassador hasn't said his. So Ambassador Emmanuel Gabai, what's your New Year resolution? And my colleagues will just echo for them. Don't bother about him, or he doesn't like New Year resolutions. And then they say, oh, yeah, come to the mic. You have to tell us why you don't like it. I said, look, life is not a struggle.
Mm-hmm.
There's already drama on its own. So let me know how to read. I am just being prayerful and hopeful that every day, whatever God brings my way, I'll take, because I'm just a
Mm.
servant, I'm just
Yes.
a portal here. And yes, I have my goals and aspirations, but I
Hmm.
don't go on to like it's not a do or die. That's what I was trying to even let them know, that
Yes.
okay, yes,
Yes. Yes.
at the back of your mind, oh God, I want to achieve this, I want to become this, I want to maybe improve on my education and all that, but not like it becomes like a law or a tax that when I don't now achieve it, if I can't achieve it, I then begin, because it demoralizes a lot of people. Let's even take
Yes.
the female folk, for instance. They are dating, and then they get to the 31st of December, and everybody like, you will get married this coming year, you will get married this coming year. Everybody will like, amen, amen. And then there's pressure. 6 months down the line, she's not getting married, she's going to 45, and then people around are like, babe, have fun now, the clock is ticking. And people
And
worry
now
more than you.
she has pressure. 365 days counting.
They will help her and people count more than you.
Yes.
The day you
So
get married, even you will forget that it's like 8 months gone. They will be asking your wife, yeah, well, have fun now, hope they just come eat our brother food. So life
oh
life is
god.
is already pressure filled.
Mm.
So that is just
Yes.
me. But
Yes.
let's talk about this too, because we can't deny the fact that there are also people who are religious when it comes to
Uh-huh.
um what is it called now, new
Resolutions.
resolution. So what do we begin to tell them? What should they look at for? Because sometimes they forget they are humans, and it's okay to fail. It's
Mm.
okay to make plans and it doesn't work. You can move on. So what do we tell people like that, who no matter what we say now, they'll say, Taiwo just dey talk him own because he dey
Mm.
US. Life is
Mm.
easy there. He's working
Life
a
is not
couple of
easy
people.
here. But you touched on something that's really really important, and that's from the religious aspect. Whether you're Muslim, whether you're Buddhist, whether you're Christian, whether whatever it is that your form of worship is. Um, Forgiveness, first of all, would not be possible if we were perfect. Because if we were perfect, then there's nothing to forgive us for. We're perfect. So let's take the Christian arena. When you have resolutions, there's nothing. Now, actually, just because I don't have them doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with them. There's nothing wrong with them as long as you can fulfill them. But it's the applying or the application of pressure that makes it hard for one to accomplish. Because even in life, generally, when there are no resolutions, you can't confirm that something is going to take place as you've ordained it, or as you've planned it, or as you see fit. Sometimes it doesn't work like that, including you trying to get somewhere. There could be traffic. You have a 1 o'clock appointment. You leave your house early, but there's traffic. There's nothing you can do about that. And then you're late. Or in some cases, they even cancel while you're on your way. But you cannot predetermine or predict certain things. Now, when it comes to religious aspects of resolutions, as long as you make it realistic, and you also know that putting your pressure on yourself for 365 days is not is does not determine who you are. So say for example, I want to marry this year, okay, but I've given myself 365 days. I've got to get married. First of all, I have to have someone that is a potential. So if I don't have a girlfriend or a fiance, that's too much pressure. Once you start to break things down like that, okay, and then if I do have one, she has to be willing. So if it doesn't happen, if I say to her, oh look, girl, I want to propose to you, I want to marry you this year, and she says, let's wait till next year, that doesn't mean I failed. I will just stretch the resolution to, oh, it's going to happen next year. But I fulfilled it because she agreed. She said yes. I think sometimes if we have a merit-based system for some of the things, like I want to build a house, right? And I want to move in by December. But by December, I haven't moved in, but the house is being built. Well, let me give myself some merit that, I was able to acquire the land. I was able to start the construction, even though they didn't finish. They will finish. There's some things that we have to start to know that God gives us free will, but there are also some things that it's also by God's will. So regardless of what you try to do, Regardless, I know people who've been married 10 years or who were married 10 years before they had their kid. But it wasn't that they weren't trying. But if, I'm sure every year they have a resolution. This year, by the grace of God, we're going to. It didn't happen. But it wasn't that they weren't trying. But when it was time, it was God's will. Now they named that guy God will. They named the child God. So all of a sudden they now conform to God's will. So there's some things that it doesn't matter how hard you try. If God says no, you can't get it. You know, and sometimes maybe you are even able to get close to it, or you get it and you think you're accomplishing something, and it wasn't God's will. And that goes across the board, all religions. You know, we have to learn now with the Christians more than most people. They try to tie it in with religion, and that sometimes could be the downfall. A resolution has absolute, unless it's a Christian based resolution, and when I say that I mean, I want to become a reverend father this year. I want to go and teach them the Bible in Yugoslavia. Now those types of resolutions are Christian based, and you can box them within the religion or within the belief system. But when it comes to personal things, don't tie it with God. Unless God told you this year, I want you to. Now, if you feel like that's also personal, if you feel like you failed God because you didn't accomplish that particular thing, then that's a totally different arena. You're dealing with, you and your creator have an issue. You know what I mean? But one of the problems we have is that we tie in everything to religion. So think about it. You being married or not being married has nothing to do with who you worship. Honestly, if you think about it, let's even take the Catholics. Catholic priests don't marry. So that means you're within a sphere where the people you are even trying to impress, or they don't even think of, that's not part of it. Imagine Father Johnson saying, this year my resolution is that I find a wife. Nah, he could find a wife, but that's now going to go against Christian doctrine, if you understand what I'm saying. Or imagine Bishop so and so from an Anglican church saying, this year I want to get a second wife. It's not going to happen. And if it happens, then you know what? It's okay. Once you start to break it down and realize that it's not that much of a pressure. It has no bearing. Look, I can sit in a room and nobody knows what my resolutions are. So it's not as if I wear it. I can walk somewhere and come back. And then even if I've accomplished it or I didn't accomplish it, nobody knows but me. Even if I broadcasted it, unless the people who heard it or read it are there, nobody knows. And one of the things that I've learned, and this is funny, that and people come to this and people come to that. Do you know that at the end of the year, people always ask you or the beginning of the year, end of whatever, people always ask you what your New Year resolution is or are. But nobody says, what was your last year? Did you accomplish your resolutions? It doesn't matter. So guess what? You can have the same list. Didn't you have that on your list last year? I thought you said you were going to so and so and so. It's not important. So there you have it. She said, yeah, most people do keep it, but it's hard to do it. She's on Christopher. Can I respond to her?
Yes.
It's hard to do it. We make it hard for ourselves. We make it hard for ourselves. It's like I'll give you an example. Swimming. There's some people who can swim. There's some people who can't swim. But everyone who wants to learn can learn. It will just take longer for some. Some people have the affinity to be able to float in water, even though they've never tried swimming before. But the moment they get in water, they can float. Some people, it takes them time. But guess what? some of those people too will eventually swim. So the pressure is how you absorb it. Am I thinking that my life is not going to be the same because I did not accomplish my resolution? Or am I going to think that my life is the same regardless of whether I accomplish these things, which are just rules that I'm setting for myself? They're personal goals, They are personal goals. Like even in politics, there's some people who are running for election this year, right? And at the beginning of the year, their resolution is that I'm going to win, I'm going to become the whatever, whatever. They pray, 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 pray. It doesn't mean that the competition, the guy on the other side is not praying. So if the other guy wins, yeah, you're going to be disappointed, but that doesn't mean that God did not hear you, because that might not be what God had planned for you, you know. So
Okay, thank you very much.
you're
I'll
welcome.
bring in Favor now. Favor has been itching to join you and ask you a few questions. So, Favor, if you're
Okay.
ready, let me bring Favor in, but let me take one or two more messages so that once Favor come in, both of you can respond if possible. I got this one. Well, let me also say here that I didn't know this topic would generate a whole lot of interest. We posted your flyers like a day or two before, and everywhere was awash with so many response from people. So I'll just read a few, and then when Favor joins you, you guys can just give response. This one is from Matthias
Okay.
Idris, and it says, actually, many people fail to achieve or fulfill their New Year resolutions because of a lot of reasons, which include the following: one, too many joyous overthinking and not acting on it. Two, some just write resolutions because they just want see people doing that. So without having a conviction of what they are doing. Three, some people um some people during the course of the year give up on their goals. Four, lack of discipline and consistency. That these are the four things Matthias says is why a lot of people fail doing it. I'll take one more and then I'll bring Favor in. This is from Sarah Sam, and Sarah Sam, thanks so much for dropping your comment. It says people, including me, have not studied or looked for an alternative to that habit or act or thing they want to stop. For instance, those who smoke, chase women, spend recklessly, fighting, mileage gossiping, etc., haven't thought what activity to engage as a substitute that could help in
Mm-hmm.
putting an
Mm-hmm.
end permanently to those bad habits and invariably helping them to start and stick to their New Year resolutions. Okay, so don't hold the thought there, Mr. Taiwo. Let me bring
Okay.
Favor before she asks for my neck in her supper. Favor,
Hi.
here you have Mr. Taiwo.
Hi, favor. Can I ask you for a big favor?
Yes, please
Yes.
do.
Oh, she's not there.
She's here.
Hello.
Yeah, Favor, we can hear you.
Yeah, okay. Happy New Year, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Taiwo is here. Yeah.
Happy New Year, Mr. Taiwo. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Go on. I think he's listening.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
the whole New Year resolution thing has been, I think it has been something that has been in vogue for a very long time. In fact, I can say since the beginning of New Year's, since we started celebrating New Year's, people feel they need to you feel the need to be a better person at the beginning of the year. You need to work on yourself, maybe finances, your relationships, your personal health. I don't know, I think it comes with the frenzy of celebrating a new year. Everything is new. You want to be a new person as personally, I can say. But sometimes we forget the fact that we need to actually make a strategic plan to help these resolutions to come to play. Number one, for instance, somebody that is overweight and you want to lose weight, you want to be like, oh, 2021, I'm going to be all size, maybe from size 16, you want to go to size 12 or size 10. Some can even, in fact, some people can dare to say they want to be a size 8, even though that is highly, highly, highly impossible. Not impossible, but then it takes a whole lot to get from a size 16 to size 8. But they still say it at the beginning of the year. Ah, no, 2021 is my year. I'm going to lose weight, all this weight and all this and that. But you still see them on the second, they'll be eating at 2 a.m., eating about at 11 o'clock. You know, those kind of things. For you to make that kind of resolution, you need to set out plans. Okay, I'm going to stop eating at this time. I'm going to join the gym. I'm going to watch what I eat, stop taking too much sugary things or that kind of thing. But people just sit down, you just relax. Some people don't even write these things down. Is that serious? Because I feel it's a plan. If you have a resolution, that means it's something you take serious. You want to write it down, you want to make it. It's a plan for your life for the year. But people don't write it down. You just, oh yeah, just with your friend. Ah, guy, what's up? How far? How are you? This is my resolution. This year I'm going to get married. This year I'm going to meet my wife. This year I'm going to write a book. People say serious things like that, and they don't even, it doesn't come from their heart. It's just something they just say off the top of their head because it's a new year and it's a holiday. Everybody's celebrating. You're in a joyous mood. You want to do something new for yourself. But there are things we need to really sit down. As individuals, yeah, we need to work on ourselves every time. We need to learn to try and be a better person as time goes on, as we age, as we grow, because every new year is a new age coming up. Even if you just celebrated your birthday on the 31st, your next birthday is still going to be in 21st 2021 31st. So we need to always learn to work on ourselves as persons and as individuals. So we need this new year resolution. People take it with triviality. People become too lackadaisical about it. You become too comfortable or convenient about it, so much as, in fact, the ending of maybe 20th of January, I've forgotten about what you said on the 1st of January because there's no plan attached to it. Like Mr. Taiwo said, we need to write out, we need to make plans. There has to be strategies in place for your resolutions to come forth or for your resolutions to work out. For instance, he said he was talking about the whole religious aspect of it. Okay, for instance, some people will just wake up on Monday and say, this year, okay, because I went to church the whole of 2020, I'm now an elder in my church, I want to be a pastor in 2021. It doesn't work that way. You don't base things like that on your own personal religion or maybe your personal affiliation with God. Things like that have to come from, it's a higher calling altogether. So, for instance, somebody that said, okay, you want to write a book. Those are people that maybe some of them have been writing articles all through the year 2020. Some of them have been published. Some of them have gone to platforms where they've made names. And then maybe some people are even coming out to them. I think you need to put this into a book. Maybe you need to compile all these articles together and write a book. Things like that will make the person, those are resolutions that can be easily funded, that can be easily achieved because you've been working on it from the previous year. So if you just wake up on the 1st of January after going to church, doing Thanksgiving and dancing and wishing all your family and friends Happy New Year, and you just sit down and, oh, I want to start doing this, I want to start doing that, without having been preparing yourself or having been working towards it or making strategic plans on how you're going to achieve it, well, I'm sorry, it's going to just blow into the air. It's just going to go with all the festivities as it's going to end towards the ending of January. So I feel that is my own take on the whole.
Can I ask you for a favor?
Okay, sir.
I want an alert to favor. That's my New Year resolution. How about that?
No problem. We'll write it down.
The pressure for this thing, you mentioned something, and I just wanted to touch on that. The pressure really is self-made, because nobody says,
yes.
maybe I'm missing it somewhere, but nobody has ever said, these are my New Year resolutions for you. Nobody does that. It's
No,
always
no.
you create your own resolution. So guess what?
Yes.
Why don't you start with something that you already know, even if it's like you feel like you're cheating, you already know you can accomplish. Like for example, my New Year resolution is that I'm going to eat rice tomorrow. I know I have rice and I know I can
Oh
cook.
yes. Yes.
I mean, as simple as that sounds, I
Simple.
think when you start
Yes.
taking them in short steps, and then tomorrow I say, my New Year resolution is to stop eating rice. Or my resolution for tomorrow is that I don't want to eat rice. Even though I have the rice, I know that I don't have to cook. I mean, I'm just saying, as funny as those things may seem, if we now project them to larger areas, it becomes easier step by
Easier.
step
By
by step by step.
yes.
And then eventually, at the end of the year, you find out that you've accomplished way more than you've ever accomplished in
Thought.
365 days,
Yes.
the
Yes.
gentleman, one of the guys that that you talked about, the guys who left a message, one of them said something about trying to accomplish things that seem so far off. I think it also falls into, yes. Make sure that, for example, I can't sit here and I'll say that my New Year resolution is that I'm going to become a professor in 365
And you're
days.
just sitting in your sitting room.
Unless I found, now here's the deal. If I found a way to do a doctorate degree in 30 days, I found a way to do write my thesis for whatever program it is in 10 days, or I found a way to cheat with a fake certificate. I mean, once you have those things, then you can say, oh, you know what, that's why, No, you have to make sure that it's realistic and don't put pressure on yourself, because at the end of the day, they are just resolutions. It doesn't make you a better man. It doesn't make you less of a man. It doesn't make you a better woman or less of a woman. They're just accomplishments. I have to have twins this year. Look at me. By the end of the year, I'm going to have twins. Also,
It's actually true.
it's all the will of God, it's all the will of
Yeah,
God.
You know,
yeah.
as a teenager growing up, I attended a camp where we were
Mm,
taught about attaining goals. We were taught goal
mm,
setting. That was what that particular topic was about. And
okay.
the professor actually brought it down to our level. We broke it down in a very easy way for us to understand. And he was
Mm,
saying things like, when you want to set a goal, it has to be realistic, it has to be
mm-hmm,
achievable. You need to not put too much pressure on yourself. You need to take it slow and steady. And that was something that really helped over time, because that was the easiest way for you to achieve even the most hardest and the most difficult goal you want to set for yourself. You need to make it
mm,
real. It's just example what you
mm.
just said about having a PhD. It is not real. You can't get a PhD in 365 days, except
If
you
you
want
don't
to
have a
cheat,
first
you want to do bribery
degree.
and things like that. And that is too much
Mm-hmm.
pressure on yourself, because if at the end of the 365 days you didn't achieve that, then you're going to start feeling all depressed, because some people take it to a really, really, really higher
Yes,
level. They take it
yes,
too far.
yes,
You see people
yes.
suffering from depression at the end of December. So I wanted to build a house in my father's village. I could not do that.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to start a business. I could not. So things like that. You see people suffering from depression towards December. In fact, as early as August, because of the things and the plans they made at the beginning of the year, which were not attainable, or they didn't
Yes,
have enough
yes,
resources on ground to do
yes.
it, and they start suffering from it towards the end of the year. And that can even cause a lot of mixed feeling. And at the end of the day, even the tiniest um goal you set, or the tiniest idea you've brought out was not able to be materialized at all, because you're already
Mm.
confused, thinking about this, thinking about that, and at the end of the day you didn't achieve anything. So you're actually very right, Mr. Taiwo. Very, very, very right.
Okay.
Something
Let me
that
read
just
one
came to my
very.
mind now, is that when you have a resolution that has to simplify it, make sure your resolution has nothing to do with someone else. You know why? Because when it is no longer in your own hands, how can you
Mr. Taiwo has gone off, so we'll wait for
Oh.
him to come again. Yeah, he's gone off, but we'll just hang on and see if he comes back, so we could continue. In case you just joined us, the program is Shagalinku TV, and this is the Tuesday's edition Okay, Mr. Taiwo is back, so let's add him up. Yeah. Hello. Okay.
Okay,
Hello.
so if my resolution has something to do with both of you, for example, that means you also have to play your roles. And if one of you falls short, then that means we can't accomplish it because it's a tripod. Three of us have to accomplish something together. So I think sometimes
Okay.
some of these people put the pressure on themselves, whereas it has to do with everybody concerned. So if they, it's not my fault that you weren't able to accomplish the part that you were given. Why am I putting that kind of pressure on myself? It's not fair. So I think when it comes to resolutions, I should make them only the things that I'm the one responsible for. So if I fail, I know that I failed. But also, if I fail, the world is not coming to an end. I don't know anyone yet, even with the depression angle of it, who has not been able to cross over to the new year because at the end of the 365 days, they were unable to accomplish their resolution. So it's not, oh, if you don't make it, at the end of the year, you're going to die. In fact,
So,
I
Mr.
think,
Taiwo, are you saying that okay, people should make, apart from the fact that resolutions are normally personal, we should
mhm.
try not to tell other people or make it known to other people that may be involved? For instance, you want to build a house for your father in the village. You're not supposed to really go out forwardly and just state at the beginning of the year that, oh, daddy, I'm planning to build a house for you this year in the village.
No,
Is
that's you're trying to do something for someone. But I'm saying, for example,
yeah.
if my resolution entails you and I now going to Kilimanjaro and climbing that mountain, right?
Yeah.
And including Ambassador, all three of us have planned that we're going to climb Kilimanjaro in August. But in August, Ambassador has the flu. God forbid he won't have the flu. But he has something that prevents him from being able to come. Your husband or boyfriend proposes that he wants to take you somewhere and you can't come. So I'm now going to climb Kilimanjaro by myself. It's either I decide to climb it by myself or I decide not to. The point I'm trying to make is that that particular situation, I have nothing to do with you both not being able to come. Now, I have the choice to say, okay, I'm going to accomplish this by myself. Building a house for my father or my mother has not, they don't have a hand in it. So if I fail, it's not because my father didn't buy a block of stone or, it has nothing to do with him. It won't have it. It's up to me to accomplish that. But what I'm saying is that if we make our resolutions things that they we have control over, or we will have control over. It won't matter if you're unable to come to Kilimanjaro, Ambassador is unable to come to Kilimanjaro, and that way, if I don't go, I already know that there's an exit point. Make it probabilities, but make sure that look, COVID. That's what one thing I wanted to. COVID has actually showed us that it doesn't matter what you plan. Think about it.
Yeah.
The UK is on lockdown again for 6 weeks. So somebody had a plan to do something in 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 2 weeks, but the lockdown is for 6 weeks. If that was a resolution, how are they going to accomplish it? Do you see what I'm saying? So there's some things that there's nothing you have no absolutely no control over. Absolutely no control over. Some people had weddings that this year they had weddings last year rather that only they were the ones that attended. Everybody attended via Zoom. But
Mm,
when they
yeah.
set the date a year before, they didn't think it was going to be like that. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But guess what? Now they still accomplished it. They were able to get married, but some people canceled their wedding because they want the
Mm,
people to be able to come and celebrate with them. Now, the ones who cancelled and the ones who didn't cancel, the resolution isn't necessarily a failure. You know what I mean? It was just circumstances beyond your control. Period. And once it's like that,
yeah.
take it with a pinch of salt. Let me find salt. Let me pinch them.
Okay. Let me take some messages here. Um,
Mm-hmm.
this one is from Yomi Aminu, and it says people often make resolutions based on their emotional and psychological stability and how they feel at that very moment. thinking they ought to make all things new. They
Mm,
therefore leave out the proper planning and strategies needed to actualize their thoughts. Everybody they do New Year resolution. Me sef, make I write my own. We
mm,
forget that we need to personally design our own values and principles to suit our temperament. We are all wired differently. What works
yes.
for Mr. A will definitely not work for Mr. B. What do you guys have to say? This is from Yomi
Uh,
Aminu.
Favor, you go first. Ladies first.
Well, it's just
Hey.
it was just, I think that's like a summary of everything I've been saying. People are in
Mm-hmm.
the celebratory mood. You are happy it's the new year. You're happy Corona did not take you away. You're
Okay.
happy so many things didn't happen to you. Your family was safe. You're able to see the new year. So in that mood, you're thinking of the things you didn't do 2020 or things you didn't do. You wished you had done better. And then 2021, you're okay. 2021, I'm going to do like this. I'm going because you are in that mood. You're emotional. You're
Mm,
happy. You are trying to. I don't know. You're in a celebrity kind of mood. So you want to do
mm,
something new for yourself. You want to do something new for your family. So in that mood, you can say things without even planning, or you
mm.
can say things I can't even forget in a couple of days. So I feel it's just basically of everything I just said. Over to you, Mr. Taiwo.
Okay, so you're saying that they were mesmerized, huh?
Yes,
They're mesmerized
exactly.
by the festive period. I think as one gets older, honestly, or well, some people are old and they don't know, but I think maturity comes with resolutions as well. As you get more mature, and you could be young and very mature because you've had it's all by how many times you were unable to accomplish your resolution, and then you find out that you're applying too much pressure. I think one of the things that I'm beginning to observe is that a lot of people, the guy said that we're all wired differently. Honestly, we are. And funny enough, sorry, I'm using COVID as an example again, but some people catch COVID and they die. Some people catch COVID and they don't even know they have COVID. So we're all wired differently. Some people are young, some people are old. It's like if you realize that for you've got to personalize things. Once you realize these are the things that work for me, these are the things that don't work for me. So everyone and their brothers and everyone can be making resolutions. You know that what works for you is that you pray at night and tomorrow you go out and try and accomplish your goal. If that's what works for you, that's what works for you. Or you think some people are able to think it, and as they think it, they can manifest it in no time. They've been able to ascend to that level where their thoughts become manifested quick. If you're not at that point, you know you have to know what works best for you. If yours is that you have to beg God, Father, please, tomorrow now, no, you know what your own lane is. You know what I mean? Now, when other people start to do their own stuff, you just say, I'm keeping mine secret. If you can say that, then that way you're not under pressure. I'm keeping mine secret. Look. When I was younger, I think that there were times where you sit there and everybody would blab out the resolutions. Just like I said earlier, I've never had any situations where you go back and some of those people are present and you ask them, were you able to? Because you can't even remember what was on their list. So you
Yeah.
don't even know what they accomplished, how quickly they had it, or what. It's irrelevant. The moment you add irrelevancy to it, then it removes the pressure. Honestly, for example, if it's it, I hate to go political, but I'm not a fan of Donald Trump. Let's just for that sake, okay? So, but Donald Trump was relevant when he was president. Notice the terminology I'm using was. In a few days, his relevancy is no longer powerful because he's no longer president. Now, that doesn't mean he may not be relevant in some circles. That doesn't mean that he may not be relevant to some people. That doesn't even mean that he may not be relevant in this country. But his relevancy has become it become shrunk because he's no longer the president. Do you see what I'm saying? So now I cannot apply that same relevancy to him in February. It's irrelevant. So some of the things that he will now start saying become rhetoric. It is no longer, he can't pass it into law. because he's no longer able to unless he comes back and runs and wins. Now, those are circumstances beyond his control. He lost an election. Now, if you now bring that closer to home, there's some things that then it's the amount of importance you attach to those things that applies pressure to you. If it's irrelevant that I marry this year, then if I do, ooh, nice. If I don't, I'm not applying. It's not that. It's I'm not applying pressure on myself. So if my shortcomings are not things that will determine what happens to me next year, then that's it. I think that's a very good way of escaping from the pressure. Don't add too much relevance into it. It's now I'm not saying that it's irrelevant, but the level of pressure is it's like the law of diminishing returns. The more relevance you apply to it, the more pressure. So make sure that maybe I can marry this year, but maybe you've already put maybe there. So if you don't,
So whether or not it happened, they're on the safe
you know,
side.
I said
You're on
maybe
the
now.
safe
You
side.
know, I said maybe.
So be on the safe side.
Yeah, I didn't say I will marry this year. You know, so maybe is the word that people should apply to their resolutions. Maybe I will build that house for my father. Maybe.
True.
Okay, let me take another message here,
That's true.
and then you guys can also respond. This one is from Daniel Akoji Mills. It says, personally, my perspective towards New Year is the same as seeing another beautiful morning. This is a
Mm,
fact many people don't want to admit, and that is why adherence to New Year resolutions have become a problem. People and the world at large will be a better place once we start seeing every day as an opportunity to start again and to resolute,
mm.
not waiting till New Year.
Yeah,
This is
exactly.
beautiful. Mm,
Yes,
this is
yes.
That's
beautiful.
wonderful.
Because you even talked about it, yeah, Taiwo. You even said it that if people take a day
Yes.
at a time, it's
Yes.
something, yes. And even Favor said something too that a lot of times people just put themselves into too many. Like I said when we started, life already is a pressure on its own. So
Oh
sometimes I
boy.
practically and consciously look for how to live life's wahala because if you add to it, na double.
You're
And
looking
you
for
So
know, you look
maybe
wahala.
people
odd.
should make
You look
resolutions
odd
as a
when you are
to-do
amongst
list.
people.
Yes.
Yeah, when you're among people who everyone is doing New Year resolutions, and then they ask you and you're not doing, they like in their mind maybe this one not serious, but they don't understand that you're
Or you're
taking
not
your
a
life
Christian,
at your
or you're
pace.
not religious. This one doesn't believe in God.
Yeah, it's true. Okay, I'll take one more. I'll take one more. We're almost wrapping up. We have like less than 12 minutes to go, but let me read some of these people's messages so they don't inbox me later and start fighting me that they sent messages and I didn't read
And
them
you didn't
because
read,
I can't wait to
yes,
respond.
yes.
So this one is from Peter David. He says, e no dey work again, especially in a country like ours, Nigeria. It's been a year now. Students are still at home. Businesses shut down.
Mm-hmm.
Insecurity on the increase. Crime unabated. The situation of the country affects every facet of life. Abeg,
Yes.
New Year resolution no dey work for Nigeria. Peter Daniel, Peter David, what do you have to say?
Favor, ladies first.
Well, well, I don't know. I don't want to say he's right, but we're trying to live one day to the next day to the next day. We're trying to survive. So, and someone told me the same thing based on what happened last year due to the corona, the COVID-19 that happened and all. So people this year are seem to not have made so many plans because 2020 it seemed to be a very important year to a lot of people. People made plans, they made wedding arrangements, wedding plans, set dates, plans of opening new businesses and all, and then COVID showed up and everything shut down. So somehow people are being careful on how they are making their plans, even up to their resolutions, even if it's personal or to your family or to yourself. People are being very careful about it, and yeah. just like what Peter Daniel said, the condition of the country is also not helping. So that's a
I
bit
think
funny.
that Daniel hit something, or is it Daniel or Peter? Peter hit something because think about this. I'm going to graduate this year in Nigeria.
Mm. I
How
am
can you
in
say
that
that?
situation right
When first of all,
now.
the university is on strike. So how can you confirm that? Did that have anything to do with you? It had nothing to do with your grades. It had nothing to do with your attendance. It had nothing to do. It just had to do with the fact that the university you're attending was closed. Period. So how can you put that kind of pressure on yourself when you have no control whatsoever over it? You're able, ready to attend university, but the university was closed. Never took light. By the end of this week, I would have finished writing my book. Never took light for the whole week. You can't even turn your computer on. Are you going to use typewriter? I mean, there's so many things that he's right. I'm sure he's a young man. So a lot of young people, based on condition, are beginning to realize that they don't have to limit themselves with those. It's limitation. Honestly, sometimes if you really think about it, the proposals are limiting. I'll give you an example. If my New Year resolution for 2020 was to buy a car, that was my resolution. But I was so blessed that by February I was able to buy that car. What happens for the rest of the year? I don't feel it almost means that I don't really think I need to accomplish anything. I was able to accomplish my New Year resolution 1 month into the year. So which means that for the rest of the year, I have nothing to attribute to my gaining something, nothing to it becomes a fast because think about it. I've already accomplished what I now become a little reckless. I now become a little laid back. Well, if you make it stage by stage, my accomplishment is to get the car, and then my accomplishment is to get someone a car. I think those are the things that we should start thinking of along those kind of lines. Now, you to be able to get someone a car, it's not because I won the lottery. It's because I don't even have enough money to buy myself a car. But my ambition is to be able to buy a car and buy a car for someone. Then you know what happens? I'm going to start doing things. I'm going to start thinking of things to do that will give me the leverage to be able to purchase a car for myself and purchase a car for someone else. I think that is I didn't think of this part now. I think that is a beautiful thing because now that is you, even if you tie it to religion, asking God to bless you in such a way that you become a blessing to other people. But it's not pressure. You know why it's not pressure? Because you have not bought your own car yet. So now when you buy your car, the pressure starts because now you feel, whoa, I've accomplished something. Or like if you had just had one car to buy and you got it in February. In this case now, you're applying pressure because you said, I've gotten my own car. Every day you're driving that car. What's on your mind is that I've not bought a car. I've not bought a car for someone else. I've not bought a car for, and you can replace car with all sorts of things. I want to be able to eat, but I want to be able to make sure that somebody else eats that isn't unable to eat, but based on what I've accomplished, they can eat. That is beautiful. Woo! I never thought this resolution thing will make me become a wise guy. Hi.
I will take one. I will take one final message as we wrap up. So many of them here,
Okay.
but hey, everyone, we're very sorry. So many messages, but we need to just wrap up. This one is from Hefziba. It says, most people aren't faithful to New Year resolutions and all. So the best thing to do is to improve on things you already know how to do. So you could be the best in what you do and be creative at doing it. From Hefziba.
Mm.
Oh, that's true.
Who are
That's
you?
true. It brings me back. It brings me back to the example I gave of someone who wants to write a book in this year and has been writing articles in 2020. So you just have to improve on yourself. You already know how to write. You're a good writer. Some of your articles have been published, and you now want to write a book. You want to make it formal. You want to have a book with your name on it. So, and you're a writer already. You've been writing articles. So it's just exactly what FCBA said. you can improve on yourself, improve on the things you already know how to do, instead of just trying to start a new venture altogether, which makes it somehow, sometimes it makes it difficult, and people don't at the end of the day achieve that goal or achieve that aim. But if you had already started on something previously and you want to be better, you want to be more creative, it makes the resolution much more easier. So that's that's that.
I'm going to go against you slightly. Okay, sometimes a book writer doesn't have to have any previous experience. It could be divine inspiration. It could be an incident. It could be an incident that is so emotional that it calls for it to be documented. So sometimes it's not necessarily now. For example, I can't go and perform surgery. I'm not a doctor. Those types of things you have to learn. But when it comes to um, God gives us amazing gifts as well. So when it comes to the gift of maybe creativity, when like writing, painting, sometimes you don't need experience. Now I'm not. That's why I said I will differ from what you said slightly, but it's not that I'm going against you. I'm just adding to, because sometimes a writer of a book, it's that story that is so compelling that they may not have had any previous experience or any previous knowledge of how to even put two words together, but the experience, they went through something that was so emotional or so traumatic or so amazing that it has to be documented as a book, and that book will become a bestseller. And now here's the guy who's been writing books forever saying, my own books didn't become, you never know. And that is not a revelation in the sense that you can't, in this one I agree with you, can't just on the 31st of December say, oh, next year I'm going to be the best. No, you can't. It could happen because, like I said, some people have a way of manifesting things that they've thought about and they speak it into existence. That is really our ultimate goal, because that really is the God in us, if you really think about it. Because if we're made in His image and we are His children, why should we think about this? All of the gifts that you have, and then some, your parents had some of those gifts. So if God is our Father, given, and we know that He is the Father of the universe. I'm not trying to get too spiritual, but we know that He's the Father of the universe and He created us. So why do we put limitations on ourselves? Especially as we've been told that He made us in His image. So if we're made in His image, that means we are godlike. We ourselves have the ability. So now we can then go back to our resolutions and say, this I can accomplish. Now it still has to be somewhat under the norms of conforming, but non-conformists are the ones who rule the world. If you think about it, Facebook is started by people who didn't want to conform. I mean, I could go on and on and on. Non-conformists rule the world. Apple was started by some people who didn't want to conform. Microsoft, some people who, I mean, I could go on. Amazon, people who didn't want to conform, or a man who didn't want to conform, and so on and so forth. So sometimes we should break down the walls or barriers and say, you know what? I'm not going to conform, but you've got to believe in whatever is driving you to get to where you're trying to get to. And that could be your resolution, that whatever I want to accomplish, I'm going to try hard. Now, if I fail at it, it didn't mean that I failed. It means that I tried, but it didn't work. I can go on to the next one. A little caveat here. Colonel Sanders, who everybody knows as KFC, I think that was his 60-something business.
Yes.
He had failed at 60-something businesses before he decided to do his grandmother's chicken recipe. Now,
Fried chicken.
this is after he retired from the military at 60-something. So he became a millionaire at 70-something. Think about that. But we still know him. I mentioned his name, Colonel Sanders, and I didn't have to go into of KFC fame. Everybody knows his image. The man didn't make a success of himself as far as men are concerned until his 70s. But he tried 60 odd businesses. I don't even think I've tried 60 businesses, and I'm not yet 70. So there's a drive
Wow.
and a way to accomplish things, and knowing that it doesn't matter if you think you didn't, don't use the word failed. You were not able to accomplish what you wanted from it, but you move on to the next one. And then sometimes you can come back and that thing will haunt you and you become successful at it. It's no big deal, honestly.
Yeah,
You're
I
right.
think I
You're
agree
very
with
right.
you guys. Okay, so we're wrapping up now. I'll be giving each of you 30 seconds to send your words of felicitation. We're still in the new year, the year is still fresh. So there are a whole lot of felicitations, greetings, and all that going on. So I'll just give each of you 30 seconds to greet whoever you want to, and then pass a message of hope to everyone, and then we'll be closing off the program. So, like Mr. Taiwo will say, ladies first. Favor over
Yes.
to you again.
Okay, thank you very much. I want to say a very big thank you for having me on the show today. And I want to wish my family a happy new year. My mom, my uncle from VOA in US, Uncle David, Auntie Marian, my cousins that are always online watching. I want to say thank you from Sierra Leone, from the Gambia. I love you guys so much. From Unilearning, my lecturers, I want to say a very big thank you for the push, the encouragement, and to Ambassador himself. Thank you very much. It has been a wonderful year working with you. Thank you very much for the encouragement and for the lessons learned. I want to say a very big thank you. Thank you very much. Happy New Year.
Thank you so much. So let's go to Mr. Taiwo as he also will give his own greetings and word of hope to everyone.
Uh, First of all, Favor didn't mention me, so it's okay.
He
But
said,
I want
come
to
again.
thank you, Ambassador, for having me here, and I want to thank Favor for sharing the platform with me as well. Um, Hello,
Yeah, go on. You said something when we
can you hear
started,
me?
when you wanted to. Yeah, you said something, but it was okay. So I was asking
Okay,
what
I
was
want to
that.
thank everyone for giving me the platform to rant.
Hello.
Hello. Okay.
Thank you. Went off.
Okay. Yes, I think it went off. Oh no.
He
Please
was saying I didn't
let's.
thank him. I didn't mention his name.
Oh, okay. That was what he
Oh
was asking.
yes,
What he was saying.
but it was
Okay.
okay. Yes.
I was. He said something that it was okay. So I thought maybe he wanted to say something.
No, he
Mr.
said I
Taiwo,
didn't
please
thank
come
him.
back.
Mr.
Uh,
Taiwo, thank
oh
you
no.
for sharing the platform with me.
Favor. There's God. Okay, he's back. Let me take him. Yeah. So
I
Mr.
said,
Taiwo, go
Favor
on.
had 30 seconds. She didn't even mention me once. Ah! It's like,
Emma Binu.
I have now. I rectified my mistake. I have now.
okay. Well, I'd like to thank both of you actually, and especially Ambassador for having me on the show. I'm humbled, that you actually found me worthy to come on the rant. I want to thank well, I want to thank my brother because he's been on Ambassador's show, and I would like to say thank you to no, I would like to actually pray that the world learns that this COVID thing is no joke. So please keep safe. I would love for us to have our New Year resolution be void of COVID. And the only way we can do that is to mask up, keep our distance, wash our hands, and pray. And hopefully we'll be able to survive it or take the vaccine. God bless you. God bless you. God bless you. That's it. No New Year resolution for me.
Wow. Okay. Thank you so much, guys, for been there. I want to thank all my guests who joined me today. I've been joined with by Mr. Taiwo Lawrence, is a songwriter, a music producer, a human rights activist, and a whole lot more. I think we'll bring in sometime to really talk about music, and teach us a few more things about music. He's all the way from Atlanta in the United States of America. Thank you for being our guest. And yes, to my wonderful Favor Bassi, she's a girl child education activist and she's based in Abuja. Sierra Leonean, but highly Nigerian. I know she's eaten all the amala in Nigeria, so she comes out as Nigerian and all that. And to everyone who joined us, thank you all. Everyone who sent messages. The messages were so many. I didn't know this topic will really elicit a lot of comments from people. But don't not to worry. We might still find time to use all your comments or send it to our guests so that they can just read them and still do all that. Okay, till we see you on Saturday, God willing. And please take care of yourselves and never be pressured, not just even about New Year resolutions. Never be pressured in life. Life itself has its drama. Let's not add to all of it. My name is Ambassador Emmanuel Gabari, and thanking you all for being there for us. Let's do it again on Saturday, God willing. Take care of yourselves and bye bye.
Bye.